We are starting the 19th of our little excursions down the southwest branch, and we're looking at a scene that could be viewed in South Greensburg in 1890. This building back here, the building to the far left, we've heard about before. That was the glass company that sat in South Greensburg, right above Theobald Avenue. This was a company that was there until 1898, when it burnt down. That was the Hotchkiss Bolt and Nut Company. And this big green structure was a building that was there from the early 1890s, and by 1915 it was described as a building in ruins. They made a certain kind of steel called Isaac Coronet steel, which I believe was an early form of stainless steel. And the guy in charge of melding the various metal components to make this coronet steel was a guy named Farewell Skidmore, who lived locally, and we have a hill named for him and a road named for him. Skidmore Hill and Skidmore Road, named for old Farewell Skidmore, who used to work there. Now we have those three buildings. That's the glass plant, that's the Nut and Bolt Company, and there is the Greensburg Steel, or Isaac Coronet Steel. And by 1903, the Nut and Bolt Company was gone, and this shows the steel company then. To try to give you a sense of location, it's right along the southwest branch, and what is now Fairview Avenue goes across the tracks about right here. And this is about where the overhead bridge used to sit. And all that has changed. Up here we can see the location. This building sits in the location of where that steel company sat, but it's a replacement of that building. The Greensburg Steel was a bigger building. It came maybe down to about here or so. And this building was built sometime before 1925 by a guy named Waitman, and they made metal lath, the stuff that you put plaster on, lath. And this shows you the beginning of the waterworks, when it was just a small building. And the turn that you have still here was then a crossroads. Keystone used to come across the tracks, and Broad Street Extension used to come down here and go across the tracks. A lot of things have changed. And did I mention Freedom Oil? That was right there at the tracks. This was the location of Freedom Oil. And there's still a building there that is involved in the oil business. It's called Ashland now. That's what sits there now. And this is the old right-of-way of the road that used to, Broad Street Extension used to go the whole way down there. And this was once Keystone going across, went up to go across the tracks. This is mapping from 1912, showing us, this was the crossroads then. See, those two roads crossed. Now it's just a left turn coming out of town. Up here where I put a circle is where the trolley line came up into town, into South Greensburg, and I'll show you a picture of that area right there. Out here along Slate Run was a place where the miners had to camp. They had nowhere to live. They went on strike in 1910, and Keystone Coal and Coke threw them right out of their houses on the street, some of them with families. And they came down here and camped along the creek. It was hard times for miners then. And this is what I told you. See the streetcar coming up here? And this, you can see the waterworks down there in the background. This was the miners' camp. These were people standing back here. Here's a guy out here. They were posing for a picture. And there is another picture of that area. See, this is the miners' camp down here. This is Skidmore Road going out here, named for Farewell Skidmore, who used to work at Greensburg Steel. And this is Skidmore Hill. Farewell lived out here somewhere. Maybe somebody can tell me just where. I don't know. Contemporary mapping showing us the waterworks. This is now Ashland Oil. It still sits there. This is an enterprise that markets bottled gas like propane, and that was there since the early 40s. Number 5 is the building that replaces Greensburg Steel. Only Greensburg Steel used to be bigger. It used to come the whole way down about this far maybe. That's the waterworks before it was rehabbed. Someone did a great job of adaptive reuse in reworking that building. This is the same building before it was rehabbed. And you can see down here, this shows how Broad Street used to keep going down here. It's just a right-of-way now. This is from the air. Detail from a Leroy Smeltzer picture. This being the waterworks. You can see this was a streetcar right away that came up into South Greensburg. This was the Ashland Oil building. This is the building that was once, this building replaced the building that was Greensburg Steel. Rico got a hold of it and became a boiler house for them, I believe. We're looking at this area now. This is the building that replaced Greensburg Steel, and it used to come. Greensburg Steel was bigger than that, and it came down here a ways. The old overhead bridge, which was torn out in the 1980s, and this down here is the outfit that markets bottled gas. Here we can see some of that territory. You can see the Slate Run coming down here. This would have been the waterworks, Ashland Oil over here. This was once a crossroads, but it is no longer. And you see it mentions coke ovens out here along Jack's Run, and they are not there. I mean, there are a few left that are, most of them are covered over or dozed away. But that was the Northern Connellsville Coal and Cokes mine called the Martha Bell Mine, and that closed down around 1910. This shows the Martha Bell Mine's coke ovens. This was in Hammer Park before the Hammer plan was really developed. There was just an empty field here before. There are houses there now. This is the area we're looking at from the air. You can see one of the major features there is the waterworks. This used to be a crossroads instead of a turn. This is the Ashland Oil building. Over here you see there used to be a place here that made women's clothing, but that is almost all gone. There's just a Quonset hut left there now. And we are at the end of number 19, and I'm going to say so long.